today we're going to talk about strategic weight loss. And strategic weight loss is really what drove us to have, more of a forum for dietitians because of the success that we had with our programs that are essentially non-medical. So these obviously, for a lot of the weight loss programs nowadays, you have to be a prescriber and you have to work with doctors and that type of thing. So strategic weight loss was an opportunity for us to really kind of support our area, our profession, with some of the concepts that we use. So I'm going to dig deeper into that in this presentation. I can figure out, oh, there we go. I'm using a different PowerPoint, so hopefully we don't have any issues. Okay, so just I'm literally going to breeze through a lot of the slides, but I do think some concepts are important to reiterate as we go through it because it really is about kind of putting all the pieces together. So I will talk a little bit about why weight loss attempts fail in over 90% of the people. I will dig deeper into the fat stores in the body, talk a little bit more about visceral fat, and we will dig into different nutrients that can really target that inflammatory kind of stuck fat. Talk a little bit about the environment and some of the obvious things that are making us fatter, and then really digging deeper into strategic weight loss and what that means. So I always like to go back to the concept of weight loss being multifactorial because it is, and everyone that is part of this course typically understands that very well. So there are different components, but like I say all the time, we can't sit and chase every ailment because people have a lot of them. And if you just go to the deepest foundation, you can start to see the body start to heal itself, and then you don't have to, kind of chase all of the symptoms and illness that people are experiencing. So all fat is not the same. And this is just a reiteration of, the fact that, different, depending on where it is in your body, it could be doing very, very different things. And that's what I'll talk a little bit more about in this slide. So we have 3 different types of adipose tissue. So white adipose tissue, brown adipose tissue, and beige. And beige adipose tissue is really kind of a newer studied fat cell. I think there's going to be a lot more coming out, but I'll kind of just highlight some of the main differences. So white adipose tissue, these all vary depending on their location in the body, the morphology, and their cell composition. So white adipose tissue is really what is known for like that intra-abdominal, the fat around there, the visceral fat, but you can get some white adipose tissue in other areas of the body, but it's largely around kind of like your internal organs. And then you have the brown adipose tissue, which can be found all throughout kind of all the body, but it's mainly like around the vertebrae, your kidneys, the cervix, and more of like the sex glands and things like that. And then you have the beige adipose tissue that really can be found anywhere in the body, and really what it is white that is converting to brown, and I'll obviously talk more about that. But the morphology or the structure of the cell is different as well. So white adipose tissue is more spherical. You have brown adipose tissue it's elliptical, it's smaller than the white, and then you have the beige that can actually be both. And the cell composition of the adipose tissue, you can see just here in like a very simplistic image. It's a single lipid droplet. It has very few mitochondria. It has this flattened peripheral nucleus. It has little endoplasmic reticulum, which is kind of like cytoplasm that's involved in protein synthesis and that type of thing. And then you have your brown adipose tissue that has multiple lipid droplets. It has a large number of mitochondria. It has an oval central nucleus. And then again, you have your beige, which is unilocular morphology. So like a single chamber, it has small lipid droplets after stimulation. So the beige is all about the stimuli because otherwise it's more of just a neutral fat and doesn't do much. And again, mitochondria, it can create more mitochondria when specific stimulus is provided. And again, we'll talk more about that. So the big thing with the cells and the fat and getting the body to actually use the fat is really all about the mitochondria. And we have to get the fat into the mitochondria so that the body can actually create the ATP and actually use those fats for energy. So the mitochondria, obviously the powerhouse of every cell, it's involved in the production of ATP. It regulates metabolism. It helps detoxify many things, ammonia being a big one in the liver. It helps build components of the blood and hormones. It's involved in various cellular activity and signaling systems, and plays a huge role in cellular growth. So again, a simplistic image, just I think it really helps by looking at like the white fat cell versus the brown, because if you have a lot of white fat, it's just going to it's that perpetual cycle of making you fatter. And if you have more brown, that's going to create the opportunity to be, leaner. And it all has to do really with the mitochondria. And you can see here, this is a very large lipid complex. In the brown cell, you have very small lipid complexes with numerous mitochondria. So there's a huge opportunity for the lipids to get and transport into the mitochondria. Whereas in the white cell, it's just not, that doesn't happen in the white cell, adipose tissue, I should say. So again, we're going to go through a lot of just very quick slides. So the white fat its main function is to store energy for later use. It plays a large role in the function of hormones, estrogen, leptin, insulin, cortisol, the main hormones that are involved in, metabolism and that type of thing. The brown fat is a little more sophisticated, and so it does store energy, but in smaller spaces, and it's obviously packed with the mitochondria. So there's a lot of opportunity for ATP production and, the body's ability to use it for energy when needed. So it plays a huge role in the process called thermogenesis, and it all has to do with really regulating the temperature of the body. And I pretty much reiterated those points. So then we have the beige, or sometimes it's called bright fat. And this is when the white fat will start to convert, or has the propensity to convert into the brown fat. So the beige fat is all about stimulus. So it doesn't always have to be, exercise to burn fat. You can actually do other things to get the body to produce more brown fat, such as, cold therapy. And I'll talk a little bit more about certain things. Exercise absolutely can be used to convert the beige into the brown. But again, it's the beige, in order to do that, it has to receive the right stimuli. So there are specific foods and nutrients that can do that. Obviously, exercise, sleep, cold therapy, and resveratrol is actually really helpful in that conversion as well. There are certain foods that help because of their resveratrol components, pistachios, peanuts, grapes, red and white wine. I think we've all kind of heard about the antioxidants in red and white wine and coffee and blueberries, cranberries, dark chocolate, and spinach. Supplements, other supplements that can help with the process is curcumin, fish oil, green tea, and resveratrol. So these are like the big ones that if somebody specifically was really focusing on the fat, kind of getting the white to convert with the brown, there's just many different ways you can go about it, but we've already kind of created programs to do that. Sleep cannot be neglected, as we all very much understand. Sometimes you just have to work with somebody on sleep itself because you really can't get the body to start creating that healthier fat metabolism until the body has the ability to regenerate itself. And sleep has to be restorative. You have to have a dark room in order to release the melatonin and to release the growth hormone. And temperature, there's just more and more studies coming out showing that cold temperature while you're sleeping can actually help with this conversion in itself. And this it's not anything that's like a significant study by any means, but it was significant results. It was only 5 people. But just by sleeping in a cold environment, they had a 42% increase in brown fat. So again, just reiterating the fact that how you sleep and the conditions is super important. Cold therapy, a lot of people know that it has a lot of health benefits, but a lot of those health benefits, it's not necessarily going to get someone to, lose weight right away, but it will start that process of the converting, the white to the brown fat, which in the long term, that's obviously going to be very beneficial. You also get, the benefits of, the anti-inflammatory effect. Cold therapy can increase dopamine and norepinephrine and decrease cortisol. But again, this is all like anything else. You don't want to overdo certain therapies because actually it could be more stress on the body, so more is not better. It's always trying to find like that perfect balance when you're trying to, incorporate these strategies. The type of exercise is very, very important. So weightlifting, high intensity HIIT exercises are going to be the best. Doing cardio is not effective really at all with converting white fat into brown fat or the beige into the brown. And we're really talking a lot about this with our patients now. And, because we see people come to us from so many different levels of health. And oftentimes, you're not even at the place where you want to have conversations about their exercise regimen because there's so many other things that they need to be working on. But now I feel like we have found a really good place that we almost have to start having those conversations about, it's not, even though walking every day and a little bit of cardio is great, it's just not, it's not going to be enough. And it's also, the part of the protein synthesis and muscle and that type of thing, which is, obviously so important for all of those components. Okay, so that was just kind of like, an intro to the different fat cells, understanding that they play a different role. Some are, we want to get the cells to be more metabolically, healthy. And so strategic weight loss came along, it literally, because even beginning when I first opened the business, it just didn't make sense to me that the body wouldn't lose weight when you restricted calories. And so that's what really pushed me into digging into the research and really, really understanding the ins and outs of how the body accessed energy. And so I focused a lot on the visceral fat. And obviously, a lot of this now is like really, really obvious. But the visceral fat is the damaging fat. You know, subcutaneous fat is not really damaging to the body. The body actually will use that pretty readily for calories when it needs it. But the key thing is the visceral, because once it kind of, all the vital organs are basically soaking and immersed in the visceral fat. This starts the cascade of inflammation. It puts you at risk. It's almost inevitable for the insulin resistance. And then obviously the visceral plays a huge role in the signaling of different hormones and stress hormones and that type of thing. So visceral fat is literally the beginning of the destruction in the body. And you've probably seen this slide before, but you really can think about the visceral fat and the subcutaneous fat in a similar way, because even though, you can have a ton of energy of food available to you, say at your house, and if you are in like a starved state, it's there, but you will never be able to use it until you prepare it and move it and get it to a place where it's actually, accessible. So it's kind of the same concept. We have to be able to move and kind of alter and change these, the stored energy so that the body can actually burn it. And it's really important to understand the foundation. And I know this is like total 101, especially for you, Karen, being a CGM expert. Visceral fat is literally, it's the metabolic dysfunction. It is from the sugar, but it's so much more than the sugar now. It is the inflammatory fats. But what the body cannot clear out of the blood will be converted into triglycerides and then, kind of transported into the visceral. And so hence you have this ongoing, again, glycemic variability that's just causing more and more destruction, more inflammation, more tissue damage. And then, lo and behold, now people are developing all these metabolic conditions, whether it's, diabetes or some of, all of the other, metabolic issues that people have. And it really does come down to the body's inability to clear the sugar out of the areas where it becomes very toxic very quickly. So the body has a mechanism to get it out very, very quick. And so it is this unnatural process that, does shuttle these fats into the visceral. And now that those types of fats take on a whole new meaning of the whole fat adipose tissue type of definition, because it's no longer just, obviously fats play a huge role in so many things, but now it becomes almost like this destructive cell that's affecting, so many other systems. So I know this is not a super great slide and you can't even really read it. But the point I wanted to make, and again, I understand that like all of this is very common sense, but it is putting all the pieces together. So when you have visceral fat will, obviously initiate that inflammatory process. So you start to produce more cytokines. So there's this constant inflammatory process going on. This is going to start the destruction it's going to disrupt the production of lipids and blood sugar regulation. So again, foundationally, blood sugar regulation and lipid production is just so important. We have to be able to metabolize that effectively in our body, but this inflammatory process now is prohibiting that from happening. And with all of that comes the gut. Okay, there's a quick question. I'm going to look. Okay, perfect. The recording's going to be available. Okay, so then you have the the gut health. Because of all the inflammation, the gut begins to get leaky, and then that starts another cascade of issues in the body. So the immune system, 75 to 80% of the immune system sits in the gut. So now that there's inflammation in the gut, the immune system is being triggered to come kind of help the damage in the body. So inflammation is inflammation is, and we have someone kind of coming in late here. I'm going to let them in. So inflammation is a natural part of the body's ability to heal. So again, going back to visceral fat causing inflammation, you have gut inflammation. And so now the immune system that sits in the gut becomes overreactive. It's confused. It's trying to find the injury, but it doesn't know where the injury is because the injury now has become more systemic. So that's where now you're getting, and we're starting to see all of these autoimmune conditions start to develop. And it's all because of, what started as obviously obesity, a lot of high visceral fat, inflammation, gut dysbiosis, and now the immune system is involved. And so autoimmunity happens, and now people are dealing with their own immune system attacking their own healthy tissue because of just the overworked nature of it and the confusion. Okay, I'm not sure why this is not changing slides. That was kind of weird. Okay, so the multifactorial effect of obesity, bringing it all together, unhealthy food, standard American diet, leads to poor gut health, leads to the metabolic dysfunction, the high visceral fat, and then you have your compromised immune system. Now you're dealing with, food is now a problem for the majority of people because of their gut issues. And it just, it's this perpetual, cycle of people not being able to get out because of the food that we're consuming. The food is very toxic. The standard American diet is ultra processed. So not only are you having the effect of the high visceral fat being a problem, and stressing the immune system, now you have all of the other components and toxins in our food and environment that are also contributing to major stresses on the body. The body cannot metabolize and get rid of all of the, toxins that we consume. It tries to do its best, but it is nowhere near being able to get rid of everything that we're exposed to. So what the body will do is it needs to store it. And a lot of the toxins will get shuttled and stored into the fat cells, and mainly into those white fat cells, because the body already is not even prepared to mobilize and access those fat stores because of the inflammatory nature of it. So now you have the visceral fat that's full of toxins and inflammation, and it just, again, it creates more of that inflammatory process that makes it more resistant to losing weight. So the body's in a constant state of stress. The immune system is weak, it's overburdened, and people are now dealing with micronutrient deficiencies, macronutrient deficiencies, and there are many processes being downregulated or stopped altogether because of crucial nutrients that no longer are getting absorbed into the body. And we're going to put together another presentation on just like those essential nutrients and things like that. But it's amazing just how, people are so deficient in like the core nutrients, such as like magnesium is a perfect example of that. So again, the multifactorial part of it, the disease is either beginning or it's just continuing to progress because of everything all coming together and just the body can't keep up any longer. So here are some signs that patients are probably dealing with signs or symptoms of just too much of the unhealthy white fat. So if they have temperature or circulatory issues, they're dealing with hormone levels. Patients will come in and say, oh, my metabolism is shot. My hormones are all over the place. I'm just getting older. And we're really not going down to the real core root of the problem. People just constantly are just told, oh, you're just getting older. And that is just the nature of, what happens when you get older. There's reproductive health issues that younger women and men are dealing with because of it. Like I said, vitamin deficiencies, neurological dysfunction, impaired metabolism, dysregulation of blood sugars. So again, some of the common metabolic symptoms that we all are very familiar with. So the body is out of balance. When the body's out of balance, the calories in, calories out, kind of thing doesn't happen, is not effective anymore. So again, reiterating what is all going on in the body. There's inflammation, there's gut issues, there's metabolic dysfunction, there's insomnia. People are dealing with fatigue, hormone imbalances, and the constant cravings because they're overfed, they're undernourished, they're insulin resistant, they're GLP resistant, and the body isn't functioning as it should. And that's kind of what I just reiterated, but the visceral fat is no longer accessible for energy when the body is needing energy. So that's why creating a calorie deficit is not going to touch that fat. And again, just reiterating the fact that when patients are in this state, it is really, really hard to get out of the state because they keep trying the same things over and over, and just putting them on a healthy diet no longer works. So strategic weight loss is healing the body while you lose weight. So we wanted to accomplish numerous things that would get people not only to lose weight, but we knew we had to heal certain imbalances in the body. So what we focused on was the visceral fat. We have to be able to mobilize the inflammatory fat into the mitochondria so it can be used for energy. We kind of figured this out, which ended up being really amazing, but simultaneously creating a calorie deficit while we were mobilizing fat was key. We provided a very clean, anti-inflammatory, non-toxic diet during this process. So you're eliminating those components during strategic weight loss, which was reducing inflammation and allowing the body to start to detoxify on its own. Because during these 30 days, or people can do it for longer, but during the 30 days, there's so much going on, and we're providing that really clean environment for the body to do its thing. But as you can imagine, with all of the excess fat and the mobilization of those stores, a lot of toxins will start to come out into circulation. So detoxification support is very, very important. So we put together our first strategic weight loss program probably about 8 years ago, I would say. We did many studies beforehand, but we wanted to accomplish those main things. So I'll kind of go through some of the features and benefits of our program, some of the nutrients that we researched and we found, to do different things during this process. And again, I'll talk a little bit about the results you can expect and some of what our patients have experienced, because it is pretty remarkable. So we knew we had to mobilize the fats. We had to get the white cell into the mitochondria or not only that, first, going back to the beginning of the presentation, we had to get the white cell to convert to beige, to convert to brown cell, so it could be more metabolically active. So one of the key things for fat mobilization is certain amino acids. So we wanted to ensure that, again, we could kind of change the way these, the fat cells kind of performed. We also, I'll talk more about it, but during our kind of our quick, we call it quick weight loss programs, we needed to spare muscle. So we are trying to accomplish, again, numerous things during the process. So we have 3 products that we include for our HCA program. And again, so features and benefits of the fat mobilization. We found that forskolin is in an ingredient that's really, really helpful in activating and providing certain enzymes, hormone sensitive lipase, which does an amazing job at really getting those fat cells into the mitochondria. Acetyl L-carnitine helps with facilitating and doing the same thing. It's all about kind of getting those fats to go into the mitochondria. And we, again, wanted to preserve the muscle mass. And the main ingredients in this particular product is the L-carnitine, forskolin, and B5 plays a very large role in that as well. So just a little bit about forskolin. It's an active compound found in the roots of the Coleus forskali, which is a tropical plant. All of our products are very, clean and obviously, natural and that type of thing. So we added some forskolin into the program. It has been around for centuries. It's been used for years in many different conditions and diseases. But again, one of the main roles was for the fat mobilization. We incorporated, some people may have heard about Garcinia cambogia, which this also comes from a small fruit that looks like that, shaped like a pumpkin. And the skin of the fruit contains what's called hydroxycitric acid. And this is an active ingredient, which again starts to help with that enhanced fat loss. It inhibits the fat producing enzyme in the body, increases levels of serotonin, which also can play a role in cravings during this process. Cravings are really due to the body out of balance, the body not recognizing the fat stores, because again, remember, the brain does not recognize like visceral fat as being accessible. So it did help to add a component that would help with some of the cravings until we got the body to start doing what it was really designed to do. And then HCA, so the hydroxycitric acid, features and benefits of this were mainly for the insulin sensitivity and really helping with the conversion of carbohydrates to fats. It helped with cravings, for sugar. And again, you can see the key ingredients there, hydroxycitric acid and chromium is really amazing for insulin sensitivity as well. And then we included a lipotropic. So if you're not familiar with lipotropics, these are certain amino acids that really help with, again, fat metabolism, but not only mobilizing fats, it also helps with utilizing, and really supporting and cleansing the liver as well. So the features and benefits of this particular product were to really accelerate the oxidation of fats. It also has ingredients in here that spares lean muscle mass. It increases energy and endurance and reduces appetite and cravings. The key ingredients, again, carnitine, amino acids, methionine, and acetylcholine. So this is referred to as the MIC solution that it kind of falls under that lipotropic, really fat metabolism concoction. And then vitamin 12 obviously is essential as well as folic acid. So that was HCA Lean. That was one of our strategic weight loss programs. It is a 30-day program. And then probably, I would say 2 years later, we started to really understand the importance of the liver and the role that the liver played in weight loss and really supporting detoxification. So that's when we dug into it and we came out with our HC2 program. So not only did we have the the quick weight loss component, because these are all quick weight loss, we mobilized, had ingredients that mobilize fat. We have to create that we have that same structured meal plan. We eliminate the toxic foods, replace with whole clean foods, reduce the inflammation in the body. And now we're supporting more of the detoxification pathways. And most of us understand that the liver plays a huge role in so much. I mean, over 500 different functions in the body, from bile, production and excretion. It's going to play a role in your hormone, your hormone production, cholesterol production, getting rid of some drugs. It plays a huge role in the metabolism of fats, proteins, and carbs. Obviously, it plays a role in the storage of glycogen, vitamins, and minerals. Huge organ for cleansing and regulates the amount of blood in the body. So the liver is super important, and the liver has to get rid of stuff. And so, as you can imagine, if you think about where all the toxins are stored, they are mainly stored in our fatty tissue in the body. So when we're aggressively trying to get people to actually burn fat, when you mobilize those fats, a lot of those toxins will come out into circulation. And the body has to be able to handle that. That's why you hear about keto flu. Just because you're experiencing keto flu or you feel sick when you're on a program, it does mean that you're mobilizing and releasing the toxins, but that doesn't mean that that's a healthy thing that's a healthy thing to happen, because what can happen due to just the gallbladder and the whole detoxification systems in the body is that if things aren't working optimally, your body will reabsorb those toxins right back into the system, and they'll go right back into the tissue where they started. So we knew we had to just make sure we had to support the liver, because the liver, everybody has a liver that's somewhat compromised. And I always say this to people, I'm like, the liver is amazing. We need it to work optimally, but what it can't do is turn junk food or ultra processed food into healthy food. It always is going to come back to what you feed your body. Obesogens are a huge problem. They're real. I mean, you can look up, there are numerous studies on obesogens that are in our food. They are approved they are approved to be put into our food. They're foreign chemical compounds that disrupt normal development and the balance of lipid metabolism, which obviously can contribute to obesity and then the inability to lose weight. So they're everywhere. You can even just Google it. It's sad because it's not just about the visceral fat, and the insulin sensitivity. A lot of the metabolic dysfunction is because of the poison, in our food that's really disrupting all of our normal pathways. And so we developed the HC2 program. This is really an unbelievable program. I'll kind of go through this very quickly. A lot of the same ingredients trying to accomplish that whole mobilization of fats and really optimizing your metabolic health. So this is one product people take while it's 3 different products. Here's the detox fuel that it's added to our product, which supports not only phase 1, but phase 2 liver detox. Another area where people kind of miss, they tell people to take milk thistle or some other teas that will help with detox, but you can actually be doing more harm if both pathways are not supported. And again, if you're getting a surge of toxins into circulation, you really need to support the full detox pathway for the body to get rid of it. And then there's the electrolytes, which are super duper important as well. And that's why we added a supplement for this particular program that supports the electrolyte balance, because going back to the state of the body, that the state of health that the body is in, is inflammation draws water. So when you start to get the body into a healthier state, you start to mobilize fats, the body starts to respond in a positive way. The body is going to flush water, excess water, because the inflammation is going to begin to go down. And unfortunately, with that water, you will lose a lot of electrolytes with that. So electrolytes must be replaced during quick weight loss. There's just no other way to look at it, because not only you're flushing a lot of water, patients are drinking more water, so you have to correct those potential imbalances. So strategic weight loss is accomplishing these things all at once. You're going after the visceral fat, you're sparing muscle mass during quick weight loss, you're improving insulin sensitivity, you're supporting detox, and you're reducing inflammation in the body. All of these things happen during the strategic weight loss program. I wanted to just touch on supplements, just as a reminder, because we all know that good quality supplements are just essential. And at Weighless MD, it is one of the first things. It's just part of our intake. It's part of our first session when somebody decides to start a program with us. It's what supplements are you taking? And if they're on anything from like Walgreens or Walmart and all that, if it's junky, like that's got to be a focus for them to get off of those supplements, because that's just like more process, more additives, more preservatives, more dyes that they're consuming and putting in their body. So if you're choosing supplements, obviously, just make sure that they're high quality. Do they have the reviews? Do they do their own, research and development? You can look for the stamps of good manufacturing practices. The ingredients are crucial. Obviously checking for expiration dates and that type of thing. And strategic weight loss, again, just summarizing the whole process, providing nutrients that mobilize fat. We are creating a calorie deficit at the same time, a strategic calorie deficit during strategic weight loss, because when you move fats into the mitochondria and you create a calorie deficit, now the body will go to those stored calories immediately, because they're there, they're accessible, whereas before they were stuck and not utilized. And so this is what's creating the quick weight loss that we have seen, for obviously the last like 10 years or so. This is just a couple of results. I was kind of strapped for time because of the holidays, but I just pulled a couple. These are 30-day programs. I mean, we have all of these on our website as well if you're interested, but you can see this guy started, in 30 days, he went from 257 to 238. Visceral fat went from 20 to 18. He lost 18 pounds of body fat and minimal visceral fat. So this particular person went from 239 to 211. The visceral went from an unhealthy 17 to 12. Body fat went from 82 pounds to 56 pounds. And the muscle mass essentially stayed exactly the same. Again, apologies for the visuals, but this was pretty remarkable. He lost 40 pounds. In 30 days, he went from 304 to 264. His body fat started at 113 pounds, and at the end, he was 73. And again, the important part is yes, it's quick weight loss, and I say it over and over. If it's healthy, quick weight loss, then quick weight loss is fine. And I'm a proponent of quick weight loss because we monitor and we, obviously uh analyze everything as people are going through programs. This particular guy, he went from 222 to 201 in the 30 days. Visceral fat went from 20 to 17. Body fat went from 88 to 7.5. He did have a little more muscle mass, which we usually depending on why he had muscle mass, we usually have reasons of why. Usually we'll see that kind of come back when we tweak some things in their maintenance program. So again, just going through just remarkable results in short periods of time. And this particular patient lost 200 pounds in 1 year and did obviously multiple rounds of our strategic weight loss, but literally got into a healthier state after being morbidly obese. Another person who didn't have much to lose, and so she started at 146 and went to 134 in the 30 days. Her body fat went from 57.6 pounds to 48. Visceral went from 12 to 10. And again, it's just a complete metabolic, her metabolic health improved. And so what you can expect in 30 days is the 15 to 25 pounds of fat. That is what we see, but we see a decrease in inflammation, improved insulin sensitivity. People usually, we don't have a lot of patients on insulin. We have a lot of patients who are on oral medications for blood sugars and that type of thing. But we just see a normalization happen so quickly in all the other metabolic markers for an improved metabolic state. So I'm not going to really get into this. This is more of our RD platform that I'll talk more about if people are interested in that type of thing. But I wanted to really go through our strategic weight loss programs because it does give dietitians an opportunity to utilize our strategic weight loss, programs in their practice, especially in this day and age, because everyone is like GLP this and that. Well, not everybody can be on a GLP and not everybody can stay on a GLP. So there's an opportunity for us to really help and support our patients.